Did you know racism exists because of a combination of historical, psychological, social, and economic forces? Human beings naturally form groups and often prefer people who seem familiar or similar. This instinct by itself is not racism, but it creates the conditions that allow racism to form when differences like skin color or languages are exaggerated and linked to ideas of superiority. Over time, societies have taken these biases and turned them into systems that advantage some groups over others. Historically, racism was deliberately constructed to justify harmful systems such as colonization, slavery, and exploitation. Powerful groups created racial hierarchies that claimed some people were less human. These ideas were spread through laws, religion, education, and even pseudoscience. Although many of the systems that invented these ideas have ended, the beliefs and inequalities they created have continued. Racism is also driven by fear and misinformation. People often fear what they do not know, and stereotypes or myths can be passed down for generations. When a person grows up hearing biased or misleading ideas about certain groups, those ideas can become part of their worldview unless they are challenged or replaced with accurate information. Social and economic incentives also allow racism to persist. Inequality can benefit certain groups by giving them more power, wealth, or status. Politicians and leaders have sometimes used racial division to maintain control or influence. These incentives can keep discriminatory systems in place even if individuals believe they personally hold no prejudice. Cultural conditioning plays a major role as well. Racism can be absorbed through families, communities, media, and institutions. People may internalize biases without being conscious of them. Changing racism therefore requires more than individual goodwill. It also requires examining and reforming systems that treat groups differently. Finally, a lack of exposure and empathy can sustain racism. When people do not interact meaningfully with those from different racial backgrounds, stereotypes can go unchallenged. In contrast, consistent positive contact between groups has been shown to reduce prejudice significantly. Did you know women played a crucial and often overlooked role in the beginnings of the movie industry? In the earliest years of cinema, filmmaking was experimental, unstructured, and open to anyone who wanted to try it. This environment allowed women to step into major creative and technical roles before the industry became more formal and male-dominated. Early filmmakers like Elise Gay-Blanchet stand out as essential pioneers. She directed her first film in 1896 and is widely regarded as one of the first people, male or female, to make narrative films. Her work helped define what a story film even was, and she eventually ran her own studio, Solax, making her one of the earliest studio heads in history. During the silent era, women held a remarkable number of influential positions in filmmaking. Many worked as editors, a job studios initially viewed as meticulous detail work suited to women. This assumption ultimately placed women at the center of developing early film grammar and narrative structure. Women were also prominent directors and writers. Lois Weber, for instance, became one of the highest paid and most respected directors of the 1910s, known for films that tackled complex social issues. In many ways, she was as influential as her male contemporaries, but later faded from mainstream historical accounts as the industry shifted. Although women did not single-handedly build the movie industry, they were undeniably foundational to it. Their contributions shaped early studio systems, cinematic language, and narrative form. As Hollywood grew more profitable and structured in the 1920s and beyond, the industry increasingly pushed women out of leadership and creative roles. Despite this shift, the origins of filmmaking show clearly that women were not just participants in early cinema, they were pioneers who helped define what movies would become. Did you know? Here are surprisingly famous people who are not known as inventors, but actually hold real patents. These are the ones that make people say, well, wait, they invented something? Michael Jackson has a patent for an anti-gravity shoe system, a special shoe plus floor slot system that let him perform the lean-in smooth criminal. Most people think it was just choreography. It was engineering. Eddie Van Halen, he has a patent for a guitar support device, a device that lets a guitar rest in a stable position so the player can do two-handed tapping. He revolutionized guitar technique and literally invented hardware to help do it. Marlon Brando has a patent for a drumhead tuning device, a system to tune and improve the sound quality of Congo drums. You wouldn't picture the legendary actor tinkering with musical instrument design. Jamie Lee Curtis. She holds a patent for disposable baby diaper with pocket wipes, a diaper with a built-in wipes dispenser. She invented a parenting product that's surprisingly practical. Steve McQueen, bucket seat design for safer off-road racing. People know him as the king of cool, not a safety-focused inventor. Francis Ford Coppola is a renowned filmmaker and inventor who patented a specialized t-shirt with a numbered turtle-shaped grid on the back designed for precise itch-scratching communication. Patented in the 2000s, this shirt features a grid matrix, often in the shape of a turtle, on the back to help identify specific locations for scratching. Paula Abdul filed a patent for a dynamic microphone support apparatus designed to assist performers with dancing while singing. The invention features a weighted hemispherical base similar to a punching bag clown, allowing the stand to tilt and sway without falling over, providing more movement range. Zeppo Marx has a patent for cardiac pulse rate monitor, a medical device for monitoring pulse rates. A comedian from the Marx Brothers invented serious medical equipment. Hedy Lamarr has a patent for a spread spectrum communication system, frequently hopping tech to prevent signal jamming. She helped create foundational tech for Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. Mark Twain got a patent for an adjustable garment strap, an early version of modern elastic straps / braces. Mark Twain known as a writer, but he was obsessed with mechanical inventions. Did you know that the story of the Radium Girls began in the early 20th century when radium, newly discovered by Marie and Pierre Curie, captured the public imagination as a miracle substance? Companies eagerly added it to its cosmetics, medicine, toothpaste, and other consumer products, believing its glow indicated healthy energy and vitality. This widespread enthusiasm helped pave the way for thousands of young women to enter dial painting factories in New Jersey, Illinois, and Connecticut, beginning around 1917, where they used radium-based paint to create luminous watch dials for soldiers and consumers. At the time, all those scientists working directly with radium often used protective gear such as masks, tongs, and lead screens. The female dial painters were given no such safety measures and were repeatedly reassured that the paint was harmless. Inside these factories, managers trained workers in the now infamous technique known as tip pointing, which required the women to place the paintbrush between their lips to create a fine point before dipping it back into the radium mixture. This method maximized speed and precision, allowing painters to complete hundreds of dials per day for roughly 1.5 cents each, but it also ensured they ingested small doses of radium with every stroke. The paint's luminescent dust clung to their skin, clothes, and hair, creating a ghostly glow that led to their nickname, the Ghost Girls. Many even applied the paint to their fingernails or teeth for fun, unaware of the danger. Meanwhile, in the same facilities, chemists handled radium only while wearing protective gear, an early sign that the company understood the risks long before admitting them publicly. The consequences of exposure emerged slowly. Because radium mimics calcium in the body, it settled into bones, irradiating tissues from within. One of the earliest known victims, Amelia Molly Maggia, began with what appeared to be a simple toothache, but soon suffered progressive jaw deterioration and unexplained infections before her death in 1922. Dozens of other dial painters developed similar symptoms throughout the early 1920s: anemia, bone degeneration, chronic infections, and eventually cancers, but doctors struggled to identify the cause. Only in 1925 did Dr. Harrison Martland, a New Jersey County physician, conclusively determined that these women were dying from radium poisoning, marking the first scientifically documented case of radium's devastating internal effects on humans. Evidence later revealed that the U.S. Radium Corporation not only suspected these dangers but actively worked to obscure them. The company had already advised medical professionals of radium's harmful effects and protected its own scientists with proper shielding, yet it continued telling workers that the substance was safe, even healthy. When former dial painter Grace Fryer began investigating her declining health, the company arranged for her to be examined by an unlicensed, quote, specialist, end quote, who falsely reported that she was in good condition, part of a deliberate misinformation campaign designed to undermine her claims. The corporation's efforts to discredit its sick employees extended into legal tactics as well, delaying proceedings, exploiting statutes of limitations, and dismissing workers' symptoms as exaggerations. Despite these obstacles, small groups of women filed lawsuits beginning in the late 1920s, and their cases soon captured national attention. Newspapers published editorial cartoons depicting the doomed radium victims locked out of doors of justice, highlighting the legal and ethical failings of the companies involved. By 1928, the public pressure and the mounting medical evidence forced settlements in favor of the workers. Although the financial compensation was modest and came too late for many, these victims marked a turning point in U.S. labor law. The Radium Girls' legal battles established critical precedents, affirming employers' responsibility to protect workers from toxic exposures, and helped shape the foundation of modern occupational health and safety standards. The legacy of the Radium Girls continues today. Their suffering and persistence transformed workplace protections, especially in industries dealing with radiation and hazardous materials. Historians note that these women were the first to reveal the dangers of low-dose radiation exposure, prompting long-lasting reforms in both industrial and medical fields. Their story stands as a powerful reminder of the human cost of corporate negligence and of the profound impact that ordinary individuals can have when they fight for truth and accountability. Did you know Peter the Great introduced a beard tax in 1698 as part of his sweeping effort to modernize Russia along Western European lines? After traveling through Europe and observing that most Western men were clean-shaven, he associated a smooth face with progress and sophistication. In contrast, many Russian men, especially those of the Orthodox faith, considered beards a symbol of piety, tradition, and masculinity. To Peter, encouraging shaving was a way to push the country away from what he saw as old customs and into a more modern era. To enforce this cultural shift, Peter required men who wished to keep their beards to pay an annual tax. Those who paid received a small metal token as proof of compliance. These tokens often featured an engraved beard and an inscription implying that beards were unnecessary. Government officials could stop any bearded man in public, and if he lacked his token, they were permitted to shave him on the spot. The policy applied mainly to nobles, merchants, and townspeople, while many peasants and clergy were exempt, the latter due to the strong religious significance of beards within the Orthodox tradition. The beard tax was deeply unpopular and created tension between the Tsar's vision for Russia and the deeply rooted customs of his people. Still, it became one of the most memorable elements of Peter the Great's campaign to transform Russian society. The policy persisted for years and is often cited as an example of how far he was willing to go to impose cultural reform. Did you know that an Italian engineer set out to construct a platform outside Italian territorial waters so it could potentially operate independently and be its own nation? Giorgio Rosa was born on February 19th of 1925 in Bologna, Italy. He earned a degree in mechanical engineering in 1950 and went on to start his own engineering firm, working as both a consultant and a teacher. Rosa is best known as the creator of the Republic of Rose Island, which he conceived in the late 1950s and built through the 1960s. By 1967, he completed a man-made platform supported by 9 steel pylons located just outside Italy's territorial waters. On May 1st of 1968, he declared it as an independent state and proclaimed himself president. Rosa chose a shallow area about 11 kilometers or 6.8 miles off the coast of Emilia-Romagna between Rimini and Belleria. The platform was equipped with a restaurant, bar, bar, nightclub, souvenir shop, and post office designed to attract visitors. According to those who knew him, Rosa viewed the project as a gesture of freedom, a personal rebellion against what he saw as limiting state rules and bureaucracy. His son and filmmakers who studied his life described the island as his scream for freedom, reflecting Rosa's dream of a place governed by its own rules. Italian authorities considered his project a tax dodge and security risk, ultimately destroying the platform in February of 1969. Although short-lived, the micronation became an iconic symbol of defiance and individual creativity. Rosa publicly framed Rose Island as a utopian project, a free micronation separate from the Italian government, but Italian authorities saw something different, a tourism-driven tax haven clearly placed just outside national jurisdiction. On June 26th of 1968, just 55 days after the Declaration of Independence, the Italian Navy, supported by the Carabinieri and the Guardia di Finanza, occupied the platform, cleared out its occupants, and imposed a blockade that prevented anyone from returning. Rose Island's government sent a telegram protesting the violation of its sovereignty, but Italian authorities ignored it. In early February of 1969, the Italian Navy used explosives to destroy the platform. The initial demolition attempt did not fully sink the structure, but a storm on February 26th of 1969 completed the destruction. Today, Rose Island is seen as a symbol of individual defiance, a bold experiment in freedom that, despite its destruction, continues to captivate imaginations.
Hello, faggot lovers everywhere. I've a message for you from Birdseye. Birdseye faggots will appeal to your whole family. They've made them with lashings of gravy, but they've gone easy on the spice because kids don't like them too spicy, apparently. Birdseye even suggests that people who don't like faggots could enjoy these. They live in hope. You know, they could be right.
Did you know? If you're easily offended and don't like profanity, then perhaps you can skip today's videos. Imagine calling someone a happy, joyful person and suddenly it's an insult. Or telling your doctor you need to piss and nobody bats an eye. These words weren't always dirty. In fact, most of them started completely innocent. Today I'm revealing the shocking true origins of 15 everyday swear words that went from polite to profane. Shit! Originally from an Old English, it just meant to defecate. Totally normal farm word. By the Middle Ages, people got prudish about poop, and suddenly it was taboo. Now it's the ultimate all-purpose swear. This movie is shit. Mind blown yet? Wait till you hear the rest. Bitch! Old English, literally just female dog. Farmers and hunters used it every day. Around the 1400s, it got thrown at women and never left. Today, you can call your best friend a bad bitch, and it's a compliment. Language is weird. Bastard. This one started as a boring legal term. Child born out of wedlock. No insult intended. Then society decided that illegitimate kids were shameful, and the word became a weapon. Still used in courtrooms today, just not how you think. Crap. Crap used to mean the worthless scraps left after threshing grain. Farmers said it all the time. In the 1800s, it quietly became a polite way to say, well, you know. Now that's crap is office-appropriate swearing. Piss. It just meant to urinate. Doctors wrote it in medical books for centuries. Then society decided bodily functions were rude, and pissed off was born. Ass. Old English for donkey. Perfectly innocent animal. Fast forward a few hundred years, and it suddenly meant your butt and a stupid person. Thanks, language. Prick. Originally meant a sharp point, like a thorn or a sewing needle. Totally harmless. By the 1500s, the shape reminded people of something else, and the insult stuck. Early on, it just meant a fool or a small bundle. Then in the 1600s, it took a very rude detour. Now it's one of the most offensive words in English. Sorry, history.
What are these words that I'm talking about? They're just words that we've decided, sort of decided, not to use all the time. That's about the only thing you can really say about them for sure. That they're just some words, not many either, just a few, that we've decided, well, we won't use them all the time. Sometimes, well, hell yeah. Sometimes it's okay, but not all the time. And they're the only words that seem to have that restriction.
Tit, Old English for teat or nipple, also meant a little bird. Completely normal baby talk word. Fast forward to the 20th century and suddenly nice tits is locker room talk. Faggot, 13th century, a bundle of sticks for firewood, nothing more. By the early 1900s, it became a cruel slur. The original meaning is still used in British cooking. Meatball faggots. Wild. Gay. For 800 years, this word just meant happy, merry, carefree. Have a gay old time. Then the 1920s underground scene borrowed it, and by the 70s, the happy meaning was gone forever. Language evolution in action. Cunt! This one hurts. In the 1200s, it was the plain everyday word for female anatomy. It appeared in street names and literature. Then Prudly hit hard in the 1600s, and it became the most taboo word in English. Still the nuclear option today. Fuck! The big one. Fuck. Germanic root meaning to strike or to breed. First written down in 1528 as fucking abbot. It was never polite, but it became the most versatile word on earth. Fuck yes, fuck no, what the fuck, fucking brilliant. Damn, from Latin to condemn. Originally a serious religious and legal word, condemned to hell. By the 1600s, people were casually saying, damn it. Still gets censored on TV, even though it's the mildest one here. Homo, short for homosexual, a clinical term in the 1920s. Within decades, it turned into a schoolyard slur. Today, most people just say gay. The word homo feels dated and mean. So there you have it, 15 words that prove language is never set in stone. What started as farm talk, legal terms, or happy objectives became the swears we can't live without. Thanks for watching. Now go have a fucking great day. See you in the next one.
And I know there are some other words that many of you are wondering about, why they haven't been considered, why they haven't shown up on the list thus far. We're looking at them all very closely. Some of your favorites might make the list this year.